So the regular season is in the books. The Bulls finish off this season 39-43, one loss worse than last season. It wasn't for lack of effort, though, in this final game of the year at MSG against the New York Knicks. I don't really understand why this game was taken so seriously when your seed was locked in and you had an opportunity to give your guys a last chance bit of rest when you're about to go into an elimination game here this week, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I mean, it was a fun game. It was actually an entertaining back and forth battle. No big leads for either team. Good defense on both sides. Great shot creation. Big momentum swings throughout the game for both teams. And I guess for me, what made the game more fun was that you knew this was nothing at risk here for the Bulls in watching the game. Win or lose, it had no consequences on their postseason outlook. Sure, I would have preferred a win because I always want to see my team win, and I especially want to see them beat the Knicks and crush their hopes at landing the number 2 seed, but it doesn't hurt to see them lose in the valiant effort against a team that is actually trying to win, doing this on the road and against one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. So, as always, I appreciate the effort. I mean, you guys know me, that's all I care about at the end of the day. Good basketball and consistent hustle and effort for the whole 48 minutes, win or lose. That's all I want to see. That said, not really sure it made sense for this to be the type of game where the Bulls go all out. And I mean that in the sense of lineups and minutes for players. If Billy Donovan is going to give minutes to his main guys, I still expect nothing less from them when they're actually out there on the court trying to give it their all. I'm more so just saying this in the sense did they really have to give your starters all those minutes? I get that you don't want to go into the play-in with the core guys a little cold and having not played a game together for nearly a week after sitting them out also against the Wizards. Did we really need 40 plus minutes though for all of DeMar, Vooch, Coby, and Alex Caruso? Was that really necessary? I mean, leave it to the Bulls to send a game that means nothing to them into overtime for the 11th time this season, the most OTs in the NBA, and you're giving a guy who leads the league in minutes at age 34 a game in which he played another 44 minutes in this game. And the Bulls didn't even win after all that effort. Again, I'm glad that the guys played a bit just to keep the rhythm and flow going for your starters who are about to go into this playing game, but adding more mileage to these guys on a meaningless game doesn't really make sense to me. I'm glad the guys didn't get injured, at least based on what we know anyway as of right now, and hopefully the heavy minutes won't impact their play in the play-in. But either way, it was one thing that was a little baffling to me to see these guys putting in heavy minutes. The other piece that made this game weird is the Knicks actually trying towards the end of the game. And I'm sure some of you will say, well, what the hell do you mean? Why wouldn't they actually try? This is a game where they have major playoff implications for them to either fall between the 4th seed and the 2nd seed, those seeds being up for grabs depending on how they showed up. But here's the thing. As we reached the 4th quarter, we knew the Cavs had already lost, which locked the Knicks into the 3 seed at a minimum. And if the Bucks lost and the Knicks also lost, they would have stayed at number 3. The only way they could have moved to number 2 was by winning the game and having the Bucks lose. And by midway through the 4th quarter, the Bucks were getting blown out by the Magic. We knew that they were not going to win that game. So they knew at that point they could take their foot off the gas if they really wanted to and stay at the 3 seed, or they could try and go for number 2. Now, why would the Knicks even consider going for the 3rd seed when they have an opportunity to land number 2? Well, as all of this was transpiring, with the Magic and Pacers blowing out their respective opponents, it meant that the Sixers were going to finish 7th. A Sixers team they very well likely could face in the first round. A Sixers team that we know is significantly better than their seed indicates, because they now have Joel Embiid back, who's been out for a good portion of the season, and have won 8 straight games to close out the season playing their best basketball on the year. Now, sure, the Heat could win that game and get the 7th seed, but even still, if I'm the Knicks, knowing the matchup challenges they face against either the Sixers or the Miami Heat, I would 100% prefer to play against a team like the Pacers than either of those teams. And now the Bucks maybe strategically played pretty poorly against the Magic to enable that to happen and fall to 3 to play against the Pacers. Again, I love the competition. I would have been annoyed if the Knicks pivoted late in game and just started resting all their starters to try and lose the game, which we know Tibbs would never do, but it could end up being the Knicks' undoing when they have to see Joel Embiid in the first round of the playoffs. Anyway, I'll have some kind of analysis video on some of these playoff matchups and the implications of some of these final regular season games on my NBA channel. But as it relates to the game today, like I said, I could not have asked for a better game just purely from a basketball watcher's perspective and putting the stakes of the game aside. I thought it was going to be a boring game, as I initially thought we would see a similar lineup from the other night against the Wizards. And hey, the Bulls came out ready to play in the mecca of basketball. They were focused, they moved the ball well, they forced a lot of turnovers to the Knicks, 21 in total. They held their own physically despite being undermanned and undersized, and for the most part, they kept up the pace. And even when the Knicks started making runs, you thought, okay, the Bulls are going to fall apart. They still kept it together. They sent the game into overtime and almost had a chance to win it with DeMar's shot with less than 10 seconds to go and the Bulls down 1 and forcing a turnover on the inbounds play prior to that for the Knicks, but it just rolled off the rim by DeMar DeRozan. There just wasn't too much that you could be upset about from the Bulls in this game. Yeah, they shot the 3-ball poorly, which cost them. They gave up way too many second chance points, but they actually also crashed the offensive glass themselves to get second chance opportunities. The Bulls had 15 steals in this game against a good offensive Knicks team. All starters were in double figures. Caruso was just incredible in this one, made huge plays on defense down the stretch, finished the game with 5 steals to all but secure his first team all-defense nomination. Not only that, but finishing the game with 15 points, shooting 5 for 8 and 3 for 5 from 3 with some big threes in the fourth quarter, 5 rebounds and 8 assists. Cannot say enough about how good this guy has been throughout the season and has really earned the title of my favorite Bulls player from this season, if that wasn't already obvious. Coby White was great in this game and is finally starting to look back to his normal self since that hip injury. He still hasn't found his stroke from 3 as he went 0 for 3 tonight in this game, but was very efficient in finishing at the basket, which has been a struggle for him lately. 12 for 18 from the floor overall, 4 assists, 2 steals, and then Vucevic has finally started looking like a starting caliber center and not missing point blank shots at the rim. And hey, even hitting open threes, which he's been the worst in the league at among wide open threes for big men in the game. Tonight, he went 12 for 19 overall, 2 for 4 from 3, 29 points, and 11 rebounds and 3 assists. Hey man, we're going to need this level from Vucevic on offense against Atlanta. Locked in, agile with good footwork and a good touch around the basket, especially against a good rim protector in Clint Capella. And then for DeMar DeRozan, I mean, he didn't hit the game winner. It was right there, but I actually didn't mind the shot. And also DeMar hit some big shots in the fourth quarter and in overtime. Ultimately finished the game with 30 points on 11 for 24 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and he also had 4 steals and a block, which those steals set a new career high for him in total number of steals in a season. Dude is going to be looking for a big payday. It's going to be very interesting to see how this offseason transpires, not only for DeMar, but for so many aspects of this team as it relates to Lonzo's health, Patrick Williams, his health as well as his future as he's set to become a restricted free agent. Zach Lavine, will he be traded? Will he not be traded? I'll have a season recap and an off-season preview video of some kind once the season is actually over. But for now, we get to look forward to the play-in game on Wednesday and potentially another one on Friday. Let me know what you guys thought of the game today, and apologies, I know I'm getting this video out late as I went out with my family after the game, and I'm just now getting around to the post-game video. As always, guys, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.